Creation Science Evangelism presents Creation in Common Sense with Eric Hovind.
Hey, welcome to Creation in Common Sense. I'm Eric Hovind. Do evolutionists believe in miracles? That's what we're talking about today. Joining me is Jonathan Sampson and Joshua Jocelyn from our creation research team at Creation Science Evangelism. Now guys, I got no problem as a creationist and as a Christian believing that God, the creator of the universe, can temporarily suspend natural laws to do something supernatural. Sure. If he wants to walk on water, he can do that. If he wants to turn water into wine or raise the dead or create life from non-life, he's allowed to do that. That is not at all a problem with me. But don't evolutionists believe the same thing?
Well, ultimately, yes, they do. But in their rhetoric, they're not going to admit that.
True. They're
going to say that we reject anything that cannot be explained internally by natural mechanisms. And so, for instance, you've got an example. Dr. Scott Todd of Kansas State University once stated, even if all the data point to an intelligent designer, such an hypothesis is excluded from science because it is not naturalistic.
Doesn't matter what the evidence says.
Doesn't matter what the evidence says. Even if all of the evidence points to a designer, they're still going to reject that because, well, it can't be explained by natural or internal mechanisms.
Wow.
But they have their own miracles.
It does. This really demonstrates that they're not basing their worldview on observed science.
True.
As he said, even if all the data pointed towards this, we're going to reject that. They're not based on observed science. They have miracles like the idea that, given enough time, nature and natural occurrences could turn an amphibian into a reptile, or that any animal can undergo vertical change, not necessarily variations, like different colored lizards or different type of dogs. But literally
changing from one kind to another kind.
But actually changing vertically to another type of animal. This is absolutely absurd. You know, I really like the way that Dave Schock had put it when he said that evolutionists depend on assumptions as, quote, magical mantras that theorists invoke when they cannot come up with a viable scientific answer to evolutionary problems.
So true. That quote, by the way, from the assumptions behind the evolutionary theory. Yes, this is a shameless plug for the book, available at drdino.com. Great read, by the way. Great read. So they do. They're welcome to believe that. But they need to understand that's all they're doing is they are believing that. That's not where science is pointing us to.
It's a miracle. And there's many miracles or assumptions in evolution. For instance, proponents of the Big Bang will tell you that dust particles and gases can be compressed together without an intervening mechanism. All on their own they'll do this. But this flies in the face of all well-known science.
Exactly. That doesn't go with what we see.
Boyle's gas law says no. And this was a long time ago, by the way. Boyle's gas law has been established for a while, and it says no, matter or dust or energy, gas can't be compressed without an intervening mechanism. So this is a miracle that they believe on faith.
Wow. I don't understand why they can't just believe in the Creator. I mean, surely something had to happen, you know, supernaturally to cause the stuff to happen.
Right. Yeah, evolution did it. I guess it's there. You know, evolutionists also believe ideas like specified complexity can just magically sprout out of nowhere. You know, as creationists and Christians, we have no problem, like you said before, accepting the idea that Jesus Christ can walk on water, raise the dead, speak a storm into tranquility. These are no problems because He's God and He has that power. Evolutionists have demonstrated, in a quote by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, he said that evolution is above all verification, as well as being immune from any subsequent contradiction by experience. He has given Himself and all other evolutionists, all their religious proponents, a perpetual pardon from observable science. He's saying, even if we observe something to the complete contrary, we're still right.
What you talk about sticking your head in the sand. I mean, close-mindedness. Unbelievable.
Wow. Well,
unbelievable.
The funny thing is that we both, evolutionists and Christian creationists, we both accept miracles.
That's true.
They won't admit it. David Schock had another great quote on page 90 of this edition. He stated, evolutionary theorists invoke assumptions in the same manner that creationists invoke God for miracles that they can't explain naturalistically.
That's so true. Here you have something happening that can't be explained, yet they won't acknowledge the Creator. They won't acknowledge the supernatural of what's going on behind it.
That's where they find their problem, because we have no problem. Our miracles make sense because we have someone behind those miracles. It's completely reasonable to suggest that if God exists and He created water, He can walk on that water.
Yep.
I mean, that is perfectly reasonable, but they're going to reject that agent. In doing so, they create this very self-deluding religious worldview that is extremely hypocritical.
Very hypocritical. You know, the Bible says it's the fool who said in his heart, there is no God. Evolutionists just admit it. It's a religious worldview. I mean, come on. Hey, that's it for this edition of Creation in Common Sense. We hope you will always use creation science for evangelism. God bless.